My name is Anders Kohler, that's the right pronunciation in Swedish. And literally translated it means Andrew the charcoal maker. But I am actually a journalist. I work at AMP, which is a small but strong global media consultant with big and influential clients on one side and a proper Robin Hood profile on the other side. Invoicing rich clients shamelessly, putting the money into grassroots focused efforts. It's like farting in an elevator. But I have to start here, unfortunately. The neoliberal economy is giving us a beating, and any person on this stage today has felt the impact of it, how it negatively influences social structures, of course, and environment, but also science and research. Major population layers, thank God, have the last year opposed this prevailing market fundamentalism, I would call it. But the academic world is betraying us, or at least pulls in the other direction. 99 out of 100 universities in this world still teach the prevailing neoliberal ideology as if it was a scientific truth, or the only option. My full conviction is that if we don't change this financial system in its foundations, we will all here be doomed to be helpless soldiers on an eternal battlefield. Now, finance interests have taken a grip on the academic world, and today it just mirrors the profit-centered globalization. We have many scientists simply selling out, giving alibi to fraud, interfering destructively in research results, or at the best, they are hostages in a rigid and closed system. One example of that could be Lake Naivasha at the heart of northern Rift Valley in Kenya. It's a magnificent piece of nature, or rather was, with wildlife abundance that you really have to give credit to, but and especially its bird and insect life with many indigenous species. Now, 20 years ago, a good 20 years ago, Dutch and Israeli businessmen got their eyes on this lake, and it quickly became a center for flower farming. Today, exporting around 70 tons of fresh flowers per day from the area to Europe, pumping up 10 million liters a day from the lake, returning just a fraction of it, saturated with pesticides and fertilizers. Today the lake is dying. The water level during dry seasons is 5 to 6 meters below historically normal levels. Fish species die. No indigenous fish species are left. The fishermen of Lake Naivasha can no longer get to catch, and the magnificent bird life is quickly losing its reputation. In 2006, we were invited to University of Borås to hold a week-long workshop, and together with the students, we decided to pick a fight, joining forces with the local resistance. We did a lot of interviewing. We collected the data we could find, considering the fact that the poor local population didn't have any chance to do any environment monitoring. But we still got enough to launch a proper campaign in Sweden. We built a website, we made a documentary, we planted a massive amount of documentation at key media outlets. As soon as this campaign started, Swedish media were flooded with fake science and fake research. Among others, the International Flower Council sent around 1,000 pages with evaluation reports, research reports, scientific data, and of course we lost the battle. I mean, Swedish media listened to the scientific approach, the outburst of the scientific world, and our many eyewitness reports and our documentation was just ignored. We were silenced. Now, another academic failure or dip, or whatever we can call it, could be the Lamu archipelago, also in the north of Kenya, along the coast, close to the Somali border. Lamu Island especially, a world heritage with lots of beautiful nature, a rich culture and a rich tradition, but really poor people. They are hit both by oil drilling and the construction of a large oil port. We met with local people in 2005, and we could hear quite a lot of concern from the locals. They had seen already what oil prospecting is doing to their environment, and they knew that miles of unique coral reefs would be blasted away. But during these meetings, we also met environment activists among the fishermen who had been both beaten quite heavily, I mean hospitalized, and shot at by hired hoodlums. High-level Kenyans were accused of shady interests in the drilling, and an Australian company and an American company was also named. Without investigating these allegations further, we outlined a technical concept that would secure environment observation. Its foundation was real-time interaction with between mobile phones and the academic world. It was quite a simple concept at the first glance. Together, we talked actually with universities on 2 continents, and the structure was easy to put together. There was a great interest among the basic research scientists. The concept is really simple. Together, local communities and scientists pinpoint research areas, so-called transects. And within these transects, the local population gets responsibility for scientific monitoring, for planting scientific results. Through an SMS system with camera-equipped mobile phones, local fishermen place the observations straight into global research archives through an intricate SMS system. We were quite proud of this concept. It would give the poor fishermen along the Kenyan coast a real chance to influence. It would definitely secure their observations within seconds, place it in global ownership, out of reach for tampering, out of reach for official denial. It would forward scientific knowledge also from the scholars to the local communities, and this way giving a wider, more scientific understanding of phenomena that the local population so far had maybe explained in traditional terms or never even reflected on. For the academic community, it would mean that The simplicity of the directness of this report structure would actually give a huge flexibility. You could change research focus or redirect research results without doing anything but changing a report form. It would, the grassroots involvement would furthermore make use of local knowledge about local conditions, and this would of course help the scientists when planning the project, the specified research areas, finding transects, understanding local prerequisites. Finally, giving so much back to coastal communities of influence and control, it would create a strong self-interest. And this is, I think, the foundation for any sustainable environment research or environment observation. In 2006, we presented this concept for the first time to a handful of organizations working with Kenya's marine environment. We got some support, but I must say lukewarm. And to most of these organizations, it was just high-tech dreaming. And they told us so many times that this technological venture wouldn't work. Now, finally, we proved them wrong. Now, of course, I have to mention Kenya Marine Forum, because Kenya Marine Forum is quite interesting. It's an umbrella organization organizing more than 400 community-based organizations along the Kenyan coast. And they just love the concept because they saw the grassroots foundation and they saw the influence it would give them. Today, it looks different. This was 2006. Today, we have another technical level. I mean, look at the immense digital information density. Look at how wide embracing the communication structures are today within the digital world. When we presented, when we started looking for project partners, we had a situation where the Kenyan coast was covered by mobile phones, but there was no online capacity. Today, major parts of the world are online, and mostly through mobile operators. And when we introduced the drop-down concept in 2006, we were depending on Java-based phones, and they needed to be pre-programmed. We had to construct an SMS system in full convergence with all these different university databases, and furthermore a system that would sort and distribute automatically the data into adequate archives. Today, you just make an app. It's a revolution if you look at the original drop-down concept. It's easy to make an application, and that application directs the user straight to the specific targets we decide. In our case, it's a digital report form. There are a number of open source programs to do this from HTML code. So anyone who can build a simple website can also build an application. And with a smartphone, you have a chance to build really, really intricate report forms. Now, today drop-down is just one of many examples on how interactivity can add an extra dimension to science and strengthen basic research. I mean, basic research is losing by the year due to these finance interests. But it's not used. Instead, we see how finance interest shrinks basic research. As I told you, by the year, Instead, we have spearheaded peak projects, specify funds, and they are all focused on business-focused product development. And that's why the academic world today holds scientific results, research results, as secrets. That's a nasty situation. Remember the DNA pattern. It's even in basic research we can see it. So it's obvious that the academic world has lost contact. They have failed to keep a dialogue with us ordinary people. They are working for someone else. An academic world controlled by finance interests has put the lid on. We have to remember in that case to the media concentration. I mean, it's just a little bit more than a handful media conglomerates that's for years had a monopoly on problem definitions. Now, luckily, ICT and internet has made up a little bit in balance. During the last years, we have seen a number of interesting, popular efforts inciting community engagement, social engagement, and the Arab Spring would not have been without ICT, internet, mobile phones, and social interaction. Also, of course, the scientific world has been benefiting from the ICT development, but and they have some really powerful tool to use, our scientists today, thanks to ICT. But it's mostly introvertly handled by scholars, and there are very, very few concepts that actually work with interaction, communication, and knowledge forwarding. So to us, it's easy to see that drop-down, even in its simple original SMS-based version, still opens a new door, and even more with the new smartphone concept. The question is no longer how to do it. The question is the question itself. What do we want to know? Because we are able now to wide scale ask around in local communities. What do we want to know? That's the question. We can measure anything. Social structures, coral bleaching, village economy. Well, you see it. Species density, job distribution, oxygen levels. It's all possible to do a wide-scale collection of those data with a mobile phone-based concept. The nice thing, remember, is that it goes straight from the activist on ground into research archives. So it's all there. Already today, it's almost impossible to fail if you use this concept. We need to ask, we need the academic world to talk to us, to ask us ordinary people. That's the big issue. We need to empower basic research. We need to counter the elite thinking and the closed academic world with this type of solution, for among others. And if we do it, we will reach wuthering heights, that's for sure. The tools are there. Already today we can see it in a number of rapidly growing applications for interactive mobile phone-based interaction in construction businesses, in administration, in service businesses, in healthcare. It's all there, and it's at full juice in Europe, for instance. Now, since we have the technology to do it, I think we should really make sure that it's used for our purposes. and not only by us, also by this corroded academic world. And I must tell you that sharing is love, and love is sharing, and that's why TED is, among other things. And we are happy to share this concept. It's there. You just take contact with us, and we'll give it to you. Thanks a lot.